On this week's Top 10, sibling love helps find its way to the top 10. Hold on, what? He wants to do what with his sister? Hello everybody and welcome to another countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan for the week of January 7th to the 13th of 2019. This week we've got about half of the list is new, and we do have a brand new number one title, so let's just get into it. At number 10, with 4,643 copies sold, Volume 3 of Nogizaka Asuka no Himitsu. This is actually a sequel to the series Nogizaka Haruka no Himitsu. We have no English license for either of the light novels, either the original or this sequel series. The parent series had 16 volumes of its light novel series. It also had a 28 anime episode run. It had 2 seasons plus OVAs. The original series also had a manga adaptation, and as far as I know, I think we had the anime available in English, but that's about it. The original series, Yuto Ayase is an ordinary boy in a private high school with the usual cliques. Haruka, the school's most unattainable girl, is so idolized in the school for both her beauty and smarts that her classmates nickname her Nui Étoile, the silver star of the night, and Lumière de Clavier, the shining princess on the piano. However, in the school's library, Yuto stumbles across her and her darkest secret. She is a die-hard fan of anime, manga, and otaku culture. Now, the sequel series actually focuses on Haruka's daughter, Asuka, and it appears really that it's kind of flipping the whole thing. So Asuka is trying to present herself as an expert on all things otaku and Akihabara and the whole 9 yards, but in reality is actually kind of clueless about otaku culture. Kind of funny how times change. You have a prequel series that says, oh, being otaku is a deep dark secret, and now you have a sequel series running in this modern era that well, it's actually not a good thing to not be an otaku, apparently. I just think it's kind of funny. But in any case, I don't know much about the series, never saw the anime, and as I said, we really don't have a license for anything else of this series, whether it be the light novels or the manga. If you're familiar with any of it, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. At number 9, with 5,194 copies sold, Volume 14 of Daanjon ni Deai wo Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Darou ka. Or, as it's much easier for me to pronounce in English, is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? This one, of course, we do have licensed for English release. We're actually almost caught up. Volume 12 has already been released, and Volume 13 is coming out in March of 2019. So we're really only one volume behind on this one. There's also a 13-episode anime series which streamed on Crunchyroll covering volumes 1 to 5. There is a movie coming out, and there is a second season coming out. Last week I kind of blew it, or was it last week, or I don't know. Anyway, one of my previous videos I blew it and said I thought it had been announced, but I wasn't sure. And yeah, actually it was announced quite a while ago. That's probably why I forgot, to be really honest. But yes, the second season is officially confirmed, but I have not seen any more information on it in terms of expected release date. I'm wondering if it's gonna be one of those things where the movie will come out, and then at the end of the movie they'll have like some kind of title card saying when the sequel, the second season's gonna come out. I would not be surprised if there's maybe even like a little sting, like a little like short sort of preview promo for the second season on the end of the movie. That's my guess. Of course, this one, the fantasy series about Bel Crenel, the young boy who travels to the city of Orario to become an adventurer. He is taken on by a goddess who has no one in her own family, And essentially it's about them building their relationship, building their family, and Belle becoming a hero, going from just this average farm kid with a dream to actually becoming heroic and becoming a adventurer. It's a great series that I've really enjoyed so far, and well, I'm looking forward to actually seeing more of it. It'll be really interesting to see how much the second season of the anime covers. It'll be either, I'm afraid it's either going to try and do too much, or there's probably enough material even in like 3 volumes that they could probably do that. So maybe like 6, 7, and 8. I would prefer them to do something like that than to try and cram like 9, 10, and 11 in there as well, because I think that would just be way too much. At number 8, with 5,212 copies sold, Volume 2 of Nanatsu no Maken ga Shihaisuru. This one, there's no English license for the light novels. It's notable because it's the same author as Alderamin of the Sky, which of course ended a little while ago. This one is a magic battle fantasy around the Devil Swords of Destiny. Apparently the title, and thank you very much to the viewers who gave this to me, apparently it translates roughly to the 7 magical swords of domination, or that will dominate. So basically it looks like this one is a battle high school harem fantasy type series with magic and focusing heavily on swordplay. That's kind of what I get. So this one, like I said, I mean, it's pretty early going. It's only the 2nd volume. I really think it's only been hitting the top 10 because of who the author is. Maybe we'll find out more about this later on, but I mean, we have not even had a license for Alderamin. I mean, we've had the anime, but no word on the light novels, and now that the series is over, yeah, it never seems to go well when the anime was a while ago and the series is over. I don't know, but, well, maybe we'll get this one in English, who knows. At number 7, with 6,272 copies sold, Volume 18 of ReZero Kara Hajimeru Isekai Seikatsu, or as we have it in English, ReZero Starting Life in Another World. This one is licensed for English release by Yen On. Volume 9 is going to be released on February 19th of 2019. This one, of course, about average high school student Subaru, who is whisked away to another world, and while he's there, he meets this beautiful girl, and she helps him out of a tight spot, so he decides to help her, and they end up getting killed. And then all of a sudden, Subaru finds himself just standing where he started, and he realizes that essentially, when he dies, he seems to go back to some random point in the past. He has no control over it. And basically it's just about him trying to figure things out to, you know, help the girl and avoid further painful deaths, which, I'll be really honest, he does not do a very good job of. I've mentioned this series a number of times because, of course, it's been on the list for a couple of weeks now. You all know that I am a fan of ReZero. Really powerful series. Really, like, one of the better isekais in my mind. Has some really great characters, some very memorable characters, but I think really what makes it for me is that it really takes that whole mechanic of that, like, groundhog mechanic, right, of dying and going back and then dying and going back, and really gives it this kind of darker, grittier edge, and actually doesn't ignore the fact that having this stuff happen to you would probably do some weird things to your head and even to your body. So I really like the series that it pays attention to that, and that, you know, you can see the hero like Subaru, you can see him growing and developing as he goes along. Yeah, it's just a really good series. At number 6, with 6,664 copies sold, Volume 21 of Sword Art Online. Do we really need to talk about this one? Every week I ask that because it's on the list so much. Of course, licensed for English release by Yen On. Volume 15 came out on December 18th. There is currently the Alicization anime, which is adapting the Alicization arc airing on Crunchyroll right now. This is the first new volume since September of 2017. Starts a brand new arc. It's the first volume of Sword Art that is beyond what the web novel covered. So, I mean, there's kind of like a whole bunch of really kind of exciting things about this. You know, it's, first of all, because nobody knows what's going to happen because there's been no web novel. Secondly, it's being written by Reiki Kawahara now, which is Reiki Kawahara with 10 years more experience and writing experience than what he had when he finished Sword Art back in like 2008. You know, and if you've read some of Kawahara's newer stuff like Sword Art Online Progressive, The Isolator, even some later volumes of Excel World, you'll realize that Kawahara as a writer now is a lot better than the guy who wrote Sword Art Online for fun on his website. So yeah, it's kind of cool to see this, and I'm very interested actually to see, like there's already one spoiler that I know of about this book, about this new arc, and it involves a character that has been featured much more prominently in Sword Art Online Progressive. So I'm kind of interested to see whether Kawahara tries to introduce more stuff from Progressive, because of course he's been writing that and stuff. It's going to be cool. Like I'm very curious to see what this arc looks like, and I'm very curious to see what it reads like, because like I said, Kawahara is a lot better writer now than he was when he wrote the other Sword Art stuff, so we'll see. You know, probably in about, at our current rate of release, probably in about 2 years, we'll see. At number 5, with 7,652 copies sold, Volume 4 of Potion Danomi de Ikinobimasu, or as we are getting it in English, I Shall Survive Using Potions. This is licensed for English release by J-Novel Club. This is actually one of their newer titles that they have announced. The first volume is going to be coming out February 10th, 2019. And it is also notable because it is the same author as the series Didn't I Say to Make My Abilities Average in the Next Life, which I had a lot of fun with Volume 1 of that book, and I've got Volume 2 already. I'm looking forward to reading that one, so I'm curious to check this one out. One day, the supervisor in charge of watching over Earth was taking care of a distortion when they made a mistake that caused Kaoru Nagase to lose her physical body. Not only that, but reincarnating her into a different, less culturally advanced world is the only thing they can offer to do for her. Not one to take this turn of events sitting down, Kaoru makes a demand: the power to create potions at any time she pleases, with whatever effect she wants it to have. And it doesn't stop there either. She asks for a magical item box, the ability to understand and speak every language, and the same body she had back when she was a 15-year-old girl. Using her newfound powers, Kaoru has to try and make a stable life for herself in a whole new world. So, I mean, clearly she's setting herself to be pretty OP right from the get-go. Well, not so much that I would say she is OP, because it's not like she has to be able to beat down anybody in the whole world or anything. She's just really going to be amazing at making potions. But the question is, what can she make those potions do? And that potentially could make her OP. But, yeah, I'm going to check this one out, and I'll see what it's all about in February. At number 4, with 9,475 copies sold, Volume 21 of Okami to Koshinryo, or as we have it in English, Spice and Wolf. This one licensed for English release by Yen On. They are caught up until the release of this volume. They'd already released the 20 previous volumes in English, so probably in the next couple months we'll have this volume as well. It did have 2 anime seasons. Season 1 covered volumes 1 to 2, and Season 2 covered volumes 5 to 6. For some reason, nobody wanted to adapt Volume 4. The life of a traveling merchant is a lonely one, a fact with which Kraft Lawrence is well acquainted. Wandering from town to town with just his horse, cart, and whatever wares have come his way, the peddler has pretty well settled into his routine. That is, until the night Lawrence finds a wolf goddess asleep in his cart. Taking the form of a fetching girl with wolf ears and a tail, Holo has wearied of tending to harvests in the countryside, and strikes up a bargain with the merchant to lend him the cunning of Holo the Wise Wolf, to increase his profits in exchange for taking her along on his travels. What kind of businessman could turn down such an offer? Lawrence soon learns, though, that having an ancient goddess as a traveling companion can be a bit of a mixed blessing. Will this wolf girl turn out to be too wild to tame? Now, these books, these volumes known as Spring Log, they are actually like a big epilogue to the series. The series ended a number of volumes back, and I guess the author has started writing a sequel series, which we are having released as, I believe it's being released as Wolf and Parchment. In any case, I guess the author decided to go back to his original pair and to write a sequel. It's like a sequel of a sequel, but it's a continuation of the series. I don't know. In any case, it's basically like a big epilogue, just telling about how their life is now, basically later on, of course, and after they've had a child and all that. It's really focusing on just their life together after all of the adventures they had throughout the rest of the series. And as far as I understand it, I believe the volumes are just sort of like short stories, kind of like day in the life type stories and things like that. So kind of like, I almost feel like it's like a couple volumes of love letters to fans, basically, is what this is, which you know what, that's pretty cool as far as I'm concerned. At number 3, with 10,364 copies sold, Danshin ni Deai wo Motomeru no wa Machigatteiru Darou ka Gaiden, Sword Oratoria, Volume 11. This one, in English, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon on the Side, Sword Oratoria. This is licensed for English release by Yen On. They'll be releasing Volume 8 in February. February 19th, they'll be releasing Volume 8. It did have a 12-episode anime series, which covered Volumes 1 to 4. So, of course, this is a side series to the Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon series. This one, however, it focuses on Ise Wallenstein and the Loki familia. And it basically kind of, like, it has its own story, but it is running parallel to the main series. So it's kind of, in some cases, it's original, like there's elements of its story that you would not be aware of if you just read Danmachi, but then it also has them converging, and it shows them how they got to the points where they participated in the main story. So it's kind of cool, actually. I've read the first 2 volumes of it, and it was kind of neat how it kind of fleshed out more of the participation of Ise Wallenstein in the main Danmachi series. You know, to be honest with you, like, Bell, of course, is in a way kind of, I wouldn't say obsessed, but he idolizes Ise Wallenstein. And you know, in some ways it's kind of made to be a romantic thing where he might be in love with her, but it really feels much more like idolization to me, like she inspires him. And you know, in the main series, I kind of was like, okay, yeah, she kicks a lot of butt and she's a high level, but I just don't really get the appeal, because you don't see her a lot. And so I kind of like the idea that there's this side series that kind of builds up her character more and fleshes out her character and the other people in the Loki familia. And like I said, it's also kind of fun to see the events of the main Danmachi series from sort of a different point of view. So it's much more of like a complementary series as opposed to just a side story or, you know, or a sequel or prequel or anything like that. It, like I said, it runs kind of parallel with the main series. At number 2, with 10,422 copies sold, Yakusoku no Neverland, Mamatachi no Tsuisokyoku, or The Promised Neverland, Mama's Reflection Song. This was actually number 1 last week. Of course, The Promised Neverland has an anime adaptation currently airing. This one we do not have a license for the light novels. This is the second light novel based on the series. The manga, however, which is the root of the story is licensed for English release by Viz. The story has Emma, Norman, and Ray are the brightest kids at the Gracefield House Orphanage, and under the care of the woman they refer to as Mom, all the kids have enjoyed a comfortable life. Good food, clean clothes, and the perfect environment to learn. What more could an orphan ask for? One day, though, Emma and Norman uncover the dark truth of the outside world they are forbidden from seeing. As far as I understand it, these light novels are kind of set after certain major events in the manga. In some ways, like, they almost seem like reminiscences of the kids when they are older. That's the gist that I get. I don't know how accurate that is, because as much as we've got the manga and currently anime showing, there's not a lot of information on these light novels. Actually, there's some information on the first one, but I've had a hard time finding information on this second one. So I'm kind of taking a stab in the dark. If you know any more about it, I'd love to hear about that in the comments down below. Finally, at number 1, with 17,229 copies sold, Volume 11 of Eromanga Sensei. We do not have an English license for the light novels, which I still find really surprising. However, the manga is licensed for English release by Dark Horse Comics, of all companies. It's kind of weird, but they've actually released the first volume. The second volume, I think, is coming in. I think they just delayed it to April. And it also had a 12-episode anime, which aired April to June of 2017. We also just got a new OVA released for the series, and the anime covered the first 3 volumes of the light novels. The new sibling romantic comedy revolves around Masamune Izumi, a light novel author in high school. Masamune's little sister is Sagiri, a shut-in girl who hasn't left her room for an entire year. She even forces her brother to make and bring her meals when she stomps the floor. Masamune wants his sister to leave her room, because the two of them are each other's only family. Masamune's novel illustrator, pen name Eromanga, draws extremely perverted drawings and is very reliable. Masamune had never met his illustrator and figured he was just a disgusting perverted otaku. However, the truth is revealed that his Eromanga sensei is his own younger sister. To add to the chaos that erupts between the siblings, a beautiful female best-selling shoujo manga creator becomes their rival. So it's a big siscon series. I remember when this series was out, like, people initially were like, that's just another, like, siscon gross show, and then Giga penned that whole anime is trash, and so am I, because he actually liked the series. I thought that was probably one of the best quotes Gigak's ever come up with. In any case, this one, yeah, it ended up being actually really popular. I mean, even my wife watched this anime and is now buying the manga. So I still can't exactly understand why we don't have the light novels. I just don't get it. I thought for sure that these would have been licensed, honestly. I thought they would have been licensed months, if not a year ago, but I don't know. Now I'm kind of wondering if, now that the manga, the first volume of the manga is out, I kind of wonder if the other companies that mainly do light novels are waiting to see how the manga does, and they're going to kind of use that as a benchmark and go, yeah, maybe we'll pick up the series. Who knows? You know, we're just starting a brand new year, and there's going to be lots of licenses announced over the coming months, so maybe this will be one of them. Maybe this is the year. In this video, I want to say a special thanks to Jean-Luc Chartier, Ki Duong Ungayen, Naru, and Bob Thompson, and all the rest of my patrons over on Patreon, whose continued support allows me to buy books to review, continues to allow me to host the Light Novel Podcast so it gets out to as many different platforms as possible, and, you know, helps me basically pay off my upgraded gear and everything else. So a very special thank you to those people who allow me to keep doing what I'm doing. So that's it for this week, and I will be back next week, well, probably just in a couple of days, with another countdown of the top 10. Until then, thanks for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.